Welcome, members. I just hear the Guildhall clock chiming here, so I welcome you as full council meeting today. First of all, as usual, I'm going to pass on to Stephen Gillespie to take us through the notice of summons and the members' attendance and apologies.
Thank you, Bear. Members, you're hereby summoned to the monthly meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council to be held remotely on Thursday, 24th of June at 4 p.m. We'll take the roll call. Alderman Alan Breslin.
Here, Stephen.
Alderman Morris Devaney.
I'm here, Stephen, but also just want to mention Alderman McClintock will be 5 or 10 minutes late, but you will be attending.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Alderman Darren Guy.
Here, Stephen. Derek's having bother getting on there, but he will be on.
Okay. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
Right.
Alderman Ryan McCready. Alderman David Ramsey. Alderman Graham Bork.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Jason Barr. Councillor Raymond Barr.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor John Boyle.
Here.
Councillor Sinoni Barr.
Yes, David.
Thank you. Councillor Michaela Boyle.
And Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor Tina Burke. Councillor Sean Carr.
Sorry, Stephen. Tina has technical difficulties.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sean Carr.
Stephen.
Councillor Shauna Cusack.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Angela Dobbins. Councillor Gary Donnelly.
And Shaw.
Councillor Emmett Doyle. Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Shaw.
Councillor Stephen Edwards.
And Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor Rory Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Rachel Ferguson.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Paul Fleming.
And Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor Paul Gallagher.
And Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor Sean Harkin.
Here, thanks.
Councillor Conor Heaney.
Shaw, Stephen.
Councillor Christopher Jackson.
And sure.
Councillor Dan Kelly. Councillor Patricia Loeb.
Shaw.
Councillor Kieran McGuire.
And Shaw.
Councillor Rory McHugh.
Shaw.
Councillor Jim McKeever.
Jim's running late, Stephen. He'll be on later.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Philip McKinney.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Aileen Mellon.
And Shaw, Stephen. All right.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Mooney.
Here.
Councillor Maeve O'Neill.
Here.
Councillor Martin Riley.
Here, Stephen.
And Councillor Brian Tierney.
Here, Stephen.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, members. Just to record there, Alderman Keith Kerrigan and Councillor Jason Barr also in attendance there. Okay, members, moving on to agenda 3, statement of remote meetings. I'd like to remind everyone who's in remote attendance that this meeting can be broadcast live via the council YouTube channel and will be available for viewing to the public and media. The broadcast will also be available for repeated viewing at a later date. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with council protocol. Members and approved speakers are reminded that their own mics and cameras while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facilities to highlight the request to speak. By participating in the meeting, you are consent to being filmed and to use the storage of those images for broadcasting and training purposes. and for the purpose of keeping historic records and making those records available to the public. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website at www.derrystrabane.com. Okay, members, item 4, declaration of members' interest. They can be raised now or just put on the chat box as we're taking them through. That's been noted, Alderman Devaney. And Councillor Dobbins here in tennis as well. Thank you. Okay, members. End of 5, chairperson's business. First of all, members, I'm going to put this on the floor. I'm looking at July's committees, that we bring the committees back to the Guildhall here for the committees. And I'm going to open up the floor if any member wants to come on.
Chair Alderman Devaney here, or Mayor, sorry.
Go ahead, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And look, I was in support of having some of the meetings, especially the committee meetings, back in the Guildhall. But I think as we assess the situation today, with the situation in around the Indian variant of this COVID issue and the rise in numbers, I believe it would be my opinion that we should hold fire on this and maybe reevaluate maybe for the September meetings and just take that time out now because, in light of the rising crisis that has risen across the media today about the city. And it'll be my proposal that we reevaluate for the September meetings. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Have you seconded that proposal?
Seconded.
Was it? That's Alderman Preston. Who's that?
It was Alderman Bresnan seconded, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy?
Mayor, I actually think that Councillor Riley was in front of me. Was he not?
You're right. Sorry, I have a chat box here, but yes, Councillor Riley.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Sandra, for that as well. Yeah, Mayor, just from our group's point of view, while we'd all like to be back in the the physical chamber, being able to talk to each other face to face, I do think that as things stand currently, with the news that our council area, unfortunately, is sitting at the top end of the number of cases, more than 3 times the Northern Ireland average, and the fact that we are coming into the month of July, and therefore in August we go into recess. Our party would like to be able to get back into the physical chamber, but I do think we need to be cautious, and I think that it would be appropriate for the council to set the right message for the community out there, that to show that the messaging around people being safe, people taking the opportunity to wash their hands, to give each other the adequate space, and to obviously encourage people to go and get the vaccine. All of those messages have been pushed by yourself as mayor and the previous mayor over recent weeks, and I think that this council should be doing the same, taking a cautious approach. Let's treat July the same as what we've done in June, and then over the August recess, reassess things for September. That would be our view, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor Duffy?
Yeah, we would be of a similar opinion on that. Having discussions during the week in relation to it with our team, we were keen enough to get back into the chamber, and I suppose everybody is the same. They want to get back to a wee bit of normality. But I suppose when you look at the figures today, you see that there's going to be some surge testing going on, and then we are pushing in terms of the vaccination process to get as many people vaccinated as we possibly can, because we are seeing the Delta variant within the council area. So we would be content to go with the majority view here that we do wait. I know that last year we went back into the chamber. I think we did the same, maybe July last year. And then by autumn, the numbers were huge and we weren't able to get back in. But hopefully with the vaccination process at this point and the uptake of it and the rollout of the messaging around it, Mayor, we will be able to get back in September, and that will be a sustained process in terms of being back in the chamber long term as a committee. So look, we're happy enough to wait for another month. We've waited this long.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Kelly, that's been noted. Councillor Ferguson.
Mayor, I don't think it's me in the chat that it looks like my name, but it's not me. It's Rach. But I put in the chat box we're more than content to wait until September.
Mayor, for some reason, I seem to be called Rich.
Alderman Hussey, we'll get that changed now, hopefully. Go ahead, Alderman Hussey, anyway.
That'll be fun. Thank you, Mayor. I think, we have to target getting back into normality, and that can be done through our committees. Now, admittedly, we're moving into a period of recess. After that recess, we should be saying, yes, we're going to head back into the big chamber. Now, that probably will rule out Strabane, Derry Road as an option. But I think we need to be targeting getting back eyeball to eyeball and taking forward the issues that are important to all of our electors, wherever we may be. So, yes, let's wait to September, but let's target getting back into the chamber on the full council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hussey. Councillor Currigan.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. I was just going to query there, Mayor, in regards to if we do go back into the physical meetings, just wondered, are we still going to be able to keep some sort of hybrid meeting? It's just along the lines of, I know for the likes of myself there, the having the meetings online has been of benefit in regards to committees that I would not be a member of, because I wouldn't be running one's errand down to the Guildhall actively, to try to attend them. And is there any way that can still be kept? But potentially, if it is the committee members who should be attending in the Guildhall, because as has been stated, it will be along the lines of it will be held in the Guildhall due to social distancing rather than in the Strabane chamber. So it's just trying to see, that sort of, is that round trip there as well, and thinking on the ratepayers as well, that they don't have to fork out for my 60 miles round trip there as well. But it's just a case of, are we in any way position to try to keep some form of hybrid type meeting there as well, if it is forced that the members can attend, or are we just going back that you have to be in the chamber to participate? It's just a question, that one, Mayor. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Currigan. The meetings will be, the council officers should say in here, the meetings will be held in the Guildhall, obviously with the size of room here in the chamber and through the social distance.
Can I come in, Mayor, please?
3 seconds, Mayor. Councillor Attorney first.
Thank you, Mayor. And just before I get on the topic, just to wish you well in your first full council meeting as chair. But it's similar to what Alderman Kerrigan had asked there, albeit it's not in relation to members' expenses for travelling. I would like to see a hybrid type meeting set up whenever we do come back. If we do come back, if it's safe to come back in September, because We all know that whilst some of us may feel comfortable out and about and going about our daily business, some members may not feel comfortable sitting in a room so close to each other for such a long period of time. So I would like to see if there are any plans for a hybrid type meetings, committee meetings to be set up, if that discussion could be brought to the next relevant committee so that we can plan for it, so that people can know over the recess what it's going to look like, and they can make up their mind then over the recess whether they're going to come back in September. But just also in relation to Alderman Hussey's point, where he's saying we should be targeting coming back in September, and that's great. As Councillor Riley has already said on behalf of our party, we would love to be back in, but it's just not the time at the minute. And I don't think we should be banking now on targeting for September. We should only be coming back if it's safe to do so. And if the data relates to that, then so well and so good. But there should also be a hybrid style meeting for those people who may be vulnerable or who may not be comfortable sitting in a meeting for so long, so close to people. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Turney. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. Earlier this year, we ran a hybrid in the hybrid meeting for the planning committee. If we decide to stay as a council meeting, how will this on the WebEx? How will this affect the up and coming hybrid planning committee?
Yeah, I'm just going to put through the council solicitor here, so 3 seconds.
Thank you, Mayor. Members, it seems that the mood is, generally speaking, not to proceed to a full an in-person meeting for the committees for July at the moment, and to hold that off to September. So what I would propose, members, therefore, is that we will bring a paper into governance and strategic planning, if at all possible, for July, outlining all of the options in relation to committee meetings for September. And obviously we can under review. Just specifically in relation to Councillor McKinney's point in relation to the planning committee, it is proposed that the July planning committee will run on the same basis as the planning committee in June ran, with members in attendance in the chamber, with certain core officers, and then with limited space available for the public, but with other speakers attending virtually.
Thank you, Phil, for that there. Apologies, members, having a bit of technical problems. So, members, there's just one more on chairperson's business. I'm going to pass this on to Councillor Donnelly. He's been in contact with me yesterday, and I've been in contact with Liam Stewart and also the PSNA on this, and I do feel it's a major issue at the minute. So, Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair, and good luck on your new journey as Mayor. Chair, the issue I want to bring up is the crisis that we're currently seem to be facing at the minute, and that's what appears to be a drugs epidemic sweeping the city and district. And it's my opinion that that's been there for quite a while, and this has been leaving a trail of destruction, and it has been taking lives and destroying lives. And there's a perception amongst many people throughout the area that it's spiraling out of control. There's been a number of deaths in recent weeks. These deaths are believed to be attributed to controlled drugs and substances. And I want to take this opportunity, Chair, to offer my deepest condolences to the families and the loved ones of those who have been affected. There's no doubt there's vast amounts of various types of drugs which are widely available right throughout the city and district. As leading homeless and addiction activist Peter McFerry said only a number of years ago when he addressed the council, that he believed that drugs are available in every town, village and city, and that they can be sourced quicker than you can get a takeaway meal. And this is the sad reality, Chair, right throughout our district. And I want to put in, and I've said this before, I believe this is a problem that can't be shot away or beaten away, and it's a problem that can't be policed away. Most people, Chair, who use drugs do not become addicts, but for those who do, we must ensure that the help and support is available. We have an added problem in this part of the world, Chair, where many of our constituents do not trust statutory agencies. There needs to be, in my opinion, there needs to be a fundamental rethink on how to deal with the issue. What we have in place at the minute isn't working, and we need to examine models that are used in other countries. We need to look at addiction, and it needs, in my opinion, it needs to be treated more as a health and social problem rather than a criminal problem. And I think that what we need to do is that we need to examine why people are turning to drugs in the first place. And I have no doubt, and the experts are saying that it's to do with social conditions, including poverty, low educational attainment, deprivation, unemployment, homelessness, and that feeling of hopelessness and despair. We also, in this part of the world, Chair, have generational problems. Conflict-related trauma was left a lot of people highly dependent on controlled substances. And that means that in this part of the world, we are prescribed twice as much diazepam and 3 times more pregabalin than other areas outside the 6 counties. It is a complex and multifaceted situation, and as such, the response to it needs to be multifaceted. And this must include, in my opinion, Chair, education at an early stage and proper support for families of those at risk, and support and harm reduction measures for those already affected. This is a problem that needs brought out into the open and not hidden or brushed under the carpet. And I believe, Chair, it's a responsibility of each and every elected representative in this council. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly, and thank you for bringing this forward today. Next on the list, Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing me in, and thank you to Councillor Donnelly for bringing this issue to full council today. I want to say I agree with everything that Councillor Donnelly has said. I also have other views in terms of how we deal with deaf dealers within our society, and I feel that a more harder approach needs to be taken within the criminal justice system. Although we know that there is people there who are suffering with addiction as well, it does not escape the fact that they're bringing these destructive drugs to our society. But I want to, on behalf of Sinn Féin, express our deep sympathies to those who have just lost their loved ones recently, and to all those who continue to grieve the loss of their loved ones through substance abuse and addiction. The rapid rise in deaths by drugs in this city is heartbreaking and extremely worrying reflection on the amount of dangerous drugs that's on our streets, particularly the counterfeit prescription drugs such as the Xanax, the buds, and all that we hear about day and daily. And if only we could get completely rid of these drugs from our families, our homes, and our communities, but sadly that isn't a realistic goal. But what should be the case is that those who target, manipulate, and exploit those most vulnerable in our community should be brought to justice. Today, I watched an 11-year-old boy, like many other families, face such imaginable trauma as he buried his mother. How many more people have to die before we take action? It's not acceptable, and it should never be anybody's wish for these drugs to be acceptable on our streets. The PSNI, the PPS, and the courts need to face those families and explain how deaf dealers can walk from a courtroom while others are faced with a hearse. We need action. We need better treatment for those who are dealing with addiction, but we also need to call out those who are cancer to our society. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Milne, and my thoughts, and I would say all members here thoughts are with that young boy and his rest of his family today. Councillor Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Donnelly for raising this very, very important issue today. On behalf of the SDLP, I, like Councillor Mellon and Councillor Donnelly, I want to send my and our collective condolences to all of the people and all of the families who are suffering from the scourge that is drug abuse and right across our community. But Chair, the reality is, you know, by us having this discussion, whilst I understand that it's extremely worthwhile and really, really important that we're sending a message out to our communities that we're taking this very, very seriously, we are actually preaching here to the converted. Everyone in this chamber, virtual chamber, has already committed to doing all they can to tackle the drug problem, have already thrown their support on a number of occasions behind addiction services and detox centres and all of that. And the reality is, it's not happening. Chair, about 17, 18 days ago, I spoke to a woman, her and her sister, who I've known all of my life. Her son, at that particular time, was on a waiting list to get into the treatment centre in Derry, as he was heavily addicted to drugs. He's there 2 weeks, and I've spoken to her today again, and she's reported to me that he's doing well enough at the moment. That family, for 7 days, had to take that young boy through a home detox program. And I don't know if anyone has ever listened or spoken or watched that program take place at home, but it's absolutely heartbreaking. They see a family having to monitor and control substances and that people are taking until they can get into that centre. And I think it's absolutely incumbent on all of us to do all we can to ensure that people in our community have all of the services that they need. This is tearing and ripping families apart. The lady that I spoke to, Mayor, would do absolutely anything for any one of us right this second, regardless of her own troubles. That's the type of people that we're talking about. These are people, they aren't people who only come out at night and like a dark, dirty secret that we don't want to talk about. These are people who grow up and live and breathe in our community, and we need to do all we can to help them. The reason that I got involved in politics, Mayor, was to make my community better, and I genuinely believe that politics is the way that we're going to do that, to deliver services for young people, but we also have to deliver services for vulnerable people as well. So, Chair, I'm going to make a proposal that we write and seek an urgent meeting with the Northern Ireland Executive to discuss their plans around detox facilities and addiction centre here in Derry and Strabane, which has been mentioned in New Decade, New Approach. Last week or the week before, we've seen representative after representative come forward and talk about the Irish language rights, and I fully and totally support that. But we did see one party say that they stepped around another party to deliver these rights. I think it's time we stepped around the executive and took this to the absolute highest level to protect people in our community. So, Chair, I'm going to make this proposal.
Councillor Turney, could you put that proposal in the chat box, and could I have a seconder for the proposal?
I've done so already in the chat box, Mayor. Councillor Boyle.
Appreciate it, Councillor Boyle. Thank you for that, Councillor Turney. Members, is there any member who would like to speak on the proposal?
Mayor, could I come in, Councillor Gallagher?
Go ahead, Councillor Gallagher.
Mayor, hi, and just I'd like to be associated with the previous remarks from the members. And to say likewise, and Strabane, this is like a major district-wide issue. And in Strabane, over the last number of years, we have seen quite a few young people that are taking drugs, taking prescription drugs, taking all types of drugs, and parents are getting in the morning and find them dead. And this is happening on a regular occurrence. And what tends to happen, and looking at it is there's a massive crowd comes out to the funeral and then it's forgot about until the next victim starts getting carried up the road again. And it's happened time and time and time and time again. And it seems to be getting covered up, you know, that people are talking about it and like a hush. People who have a statutory duty are talking on a hush. And people who are from the medical profession are talking on a hush. And it seems to be getting talking behind closed doors and nothing seems to be happening. And Mayor, just from the proposal, yeah, I agree with the proposal, but I think we just need an amendment on it, that I think that this council should also set up a task and finishing group that will map throughout the council area the issues that are happening and look for an action-based way forward. Mayor, we have had numerous meetings, and it just seems to go from meeting to meeting to meeting. But people are still getting carried up the road. Young people are getting carried up to an early grave, and it doesn't seem to be working. So the only way forward, I think, for council is a task and finishing group, which is time bound. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher, and there's a second there, and that's Councillor Donnelly.
Mayor Alderman Devaney here, just on the proposal, if you want it.
Sorry, Alderman Devaney, 2 seconds. Technical problems here. So, sorry, Alderman Devaney. I have Alderman Guy first, so I do, and it's just
No,
on the
that's
first
okay.
proposal.
That's
Thank
okay.
you. Alderman Guy.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for letting me in, and all the best with the meeting and all the meetings they come along. The drugs ruin people's lives. They ruin families, and sadly, within our city, they've a number of users have lost their lives in recent weeks due to this bad batch. As I spoke before, a family member who was receiving help with his addictions sadly succumbed to them addictions and is one of the suspected deaths related to this bad batch. His family's obviously distraught. He leaves 2 young kids, but he was trying to get help. And I would urge anyone who knows any friends or family members who partake in the use of these prescription type drugs to warn them of the current dangers. And I fully back Councillor Terry's proposal here, and we in the Ulster Unionist Party fully back it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Guy. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And first of all, just kind of put on the record our DEP, from the DEP, condolences to all those families who have been bereaved by loved ones or family members owing to addiction of drugs. And I think it's well stated earlier on in the meeting from previous members that you know, this addiction, it is taking lives and it's putting lives at risk. And it's ruining families out there, many families. And I think we could all sit here for the rest of the night picking up examples of people that we know, friends that we know, maybe even relatives that we know. And we're all aware, Mr. Mayor, as Councillor Donnelly has quite rightly said, the volume of drugs out there at the moment, what I'm led to believe, is staggering. And, you know, prescription drugs and that wide range of drugs that are available. And, you know, at the end of the day, just want to put on the record as well, Mr. Mayor, that see the proposal coming forward here We have no problem in supporting it. And I see there's a proposal here for a task and finish group set up to map a way forward for this time. I believe, look, all these task and finishing groups and stuff like that is all well and good. But, you know, at the end of the day, Mr. Mayor, there is always, you know, we're stretched at the moment. Quite a number of us are stretched at groups that have been set up to deal with different issues. And I'm just wondering if maybe if we could get the meeting with the Northern Ireland Executive first before we set up another meeting then to discuss the issues. But Chair, our Mayor, no problem in supporting the proposal. It's very evident that there isn't a serious addiction issue out there, and we'll be supporting the proposal.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. On the amendment, Councillor Gallagher, I think there's quite a lot of to go through that for chairperson's business, and I'd be asking if that would come through the next full council or committee as a motion or on chairperson's business, but or sorry, the next full council anyway on a motion on that, because I do feel there's quite a bit on that to go through with this motion. I think it would be more different on that, if you would agree with me, Councillor Gallagher.
Mayor, you've got the shout, so we'll put it back to another meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher, on that. If we could remove that and keep the Councillor Attorney's motion then. So next on the list, I have Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay? Perfect, thank you. Look, I have no issue with the motion, and I want to send condolences as well to as other members have done. I want to agree entirely with every word that Councillor Mellon raised earlier. But you know, I'm trying not to be too political about this, Mayor, but people have been fighting for a detox centre for long enough. We're still fighting. The campaign led by Tamsin White has been getting support from people across political parties, and that's great. But at the end of the day, you know, when it comes down to it, and I have to just be honest, the way that I see it is that, you know, these things come up whenever we have had a terrible time through the city, and then when it's not up on the main radar, it falls away, and we've had this time and time again. We need a detox centre in this city. It is not going to fix every problem. It's not going to be applicable to every case. It is there to add to the arsenal that we have in other services across the health service that we need to ensure that people have access to. We are at war with drugs in this city, but I can't be clearer, and I've said this a number of times. This is the most important issue in this city at the moment. You know, we can talk about even issues like housing, but let's be honest, Mayor, you can't, you know, we can't process a housing case for someone in the cemetery, and it's getting to the point now where there are generations of young people who are losing their lives to drugs. And whilst I support the motion, I would say, you know, myself, Mark H. Durkin MLA, Carl Mullen MLA, and Tamsin White met the Minister of Health about this a number of weeks ago. And I don't know why, you know, I don't know what difference this will make, if I'm perfectly honest about it. I think now what we need is a demonstration of, to use a phrase from Councillor Harkin, people power. Because these now we cannot allow political leaders of any persuasion to tell us that this city doesn't need a detox centre. Let's talk about what we have done. We have done already the work of people who are supposed to be supporting us with regards to the health service. We have put together the case. We have got the statistics. We have got the cases. We've got the case studies. They've all been given to the Western Trust. And let's be honest, there are people in the Western Trust who do not want us to have a detox centre in the city because they have done nothing but stand in the way of it. And that's from my experience sitting in the room with some of them. This council has got a corporate position that we want a detox centre. It can't be lifted and dropped whenever these things happen. This has to go on and build until we get delivery. And whilst I'm happy to support the motion, at the end of the day, I don't think anything is going to come out of a meeting with the executive, because in correspondence with Camden White recently, the first and deputy first ministers and the Minister for Health were very clear that a lot of this lies with the Secretary of State, which is why herself and myself was requested to meet him. But look, it comes down to we have to get our heads around this. This happens every single day of the week. There are people who are using services every single day of the week, and people, you know, whether regardless of what the sentiments are in this council around this issue, we can't just bring it up whenever somebody tragically loses their lives. This has to be something that is at the top of our pie at every opportunity. I'm happy to support the motion, but my last word is Derry needs a detox centre, and every single person that's called needs to get behind it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Councillor Barr.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to wish you well too in your oncoming years, Mayor. I'm glad to see this problem being highlighted last in the council chamber, and I agree with Councillor Donnelly and Councillor Mill on nearly everything they say. However, I do feel this problem needs to be treated as a criminal problem as well as a social problem. It's a social problem that affects it affects everybody, those coming from the deprived backgrounds, but there are also those from the more perceived affluent classes of our society, openly engaged in drug dealing and drug using. There has to be a punitive deterrent as well as social education. At the end of the day, people are making vast amounts of money, peddling death to our young. And they're not just doing it up dark alleyways anymore, they're doing it openly, such as their contempt for society. And we can't turn a blind eye to these people here, as I say, who are making a fortune out of peddling death to our young.
Councillor Barr. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to give you best wishes for your year ahead also. I just want to associate ourselves with the comments before and give our sincerest condolences to the families. I think Councillor Mellon really showed how much this can really harm and hurt a family, and you could hear it in her voice. It affects the whole city and district, and I know many villages that have been distraught due to loss of really young people, and my own village in particular too. So we are more than happy to support this motion, and we're also happy to support Councillor Gallagher's motion whenever he brings that forward. Anything, but just our sincere condolences to the family. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Ferguson and Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to thank Councillor Donnelly for raising this really important motion, and for Councillor Tierney for bringing this motion forward. And we would support the motion and support the amendment also. And I just want to give our condolences to all the families who've lost loved ones to addiction. And we can hear in this council chamber this evening how it has, the pain that it causes family and the hurt, and that devastation. And we really do have a serious problem with addiction here in the city and district. And this has worsened over the last year and a half because of the impacts of the pandemic. And it's not just with illegal drugs, it's also with prescription drugs and also alcohol. And this is a growing problem, and it's no coincidence that it's happening at the same time that we have a poverty crisis, we have a mental health crisis, and we have a crisis in our healthcare services as well. And these are profound problems that we need to tackle. But if we don't tackle them properly, they are going to get worse. And it is a societal problem. It's why fighting to protect and expand our public services is essential. And we also need to give people hope for a better future out of this. And I'll agree with Councillor Doyle in that we do need a people-powered movement if we are going to realise an addiction centre here for the city. but also to change the circumstances by which people are living in through the deprivation and the inequality and the injustices which people are facing every day. But you know, we've said before, we don't feel that a law and order approach to dealing with the drug problem is the way forward. We feel it needs to be under health and education. And I think there's an argument for learning from countries like Portugal and other places in how the decriminalisation of drugs has for, in terms of possession and use, has worked. So you know, I think we need to think about that, because it addresses the stigma associated with taking certain types of drugs and accessing support for that. But again, condolences to everyone who's lost loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor or Alderman Guy. Alderman Guy, do you want to speak on that proposal? If not, we'll move on to Councillor Turney to sum up.
Sorry, Mayor, were you calling me there?
Yeah, your name's on the chat box again there. Do you want to come
no,
on the
that was
proposal,
the first
or,
time. Sorry, I thought you'd missed me just first time
oh,
around.
no, that's fine. Councillor Turney, could you come on and sum up, please, the proposal?
Yep, thank you, Mayor, and thanks to everyone for their support for this proposal. The reason that this proposal states to meet with the Northern Ireland Executive is because around this time last year, I spoke to the Health Minister around funding for the Community Crisis Intervention Service, and he very quickly, whilst he supported it and gave funding for it on a number of occasions, and I do genuinely believe that he does want to do something to help people in the city and district who are suffering with addiction. But without the money, he can't do anything. So I think we need to take it to all of the executive ministers to outline to them the importance that this issue is for all of us right across this chamber and right across the city and district. So that's why the executive has been put on to meet with them, as opposed to the Western Health and Social Care Trust or the Health Minister on his own. But look, it is what it is, and just to thank everybody for their support. But I would just like to do away with one thing that came up there, and I'm hoping it was a slip of the tongue. Someone did mention that this was a bad batch of drugs that were running around, and that's why we've seen so many deaths across the city and district. I want to make it very, very clear: they're all bad batches. There's no good batch, and we need to be making sure that from this meeting that we're sending out the right message. There is no good batches, and this isn't a bad batch. In my opinion, they're all bad batches, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turney, and I would 100% agree with you on that. And thank you, Councillor Donnelly, for getting in touch and to bring this up today. I feel it's very important, and my thoughts and some of these with the families of all involved are suffering now with losing loved ones due to drugs. So, members, I don't see anybody against the proposal. Any member against the proposal, if you put on the chat box now, and if not,
Mayor,
I will.
Mayor,
Who's that?
It's Derek here.
Go ahead, Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I just haven't been able to take in all of the debate for whatever reason. I'm trying to sort it out with the host, and that's actually James now. So at this moment in time, I'm sorry, I have to abstain because I'm not over all of the debate. And I'd like to be recorded as abstaining because I just don't know what's going on in the chamber. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Paul Jackson's looking on that now, so he is. I don't see any other members. So Alderman Hussey is stating due to technical issues here, but members, that proposal has passed on the name of Councillor Turney. So members, moving on. Agenda 6, confirmation open minutes of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on the 1st to the 27th of May 2021, taken from pages 1 to page 42. For accuracy, could I have a proposer, please?
So propose, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney.
Chair, I'd like to talk on accuracy. please.
Go ahead there, Councillor McKenna.
Okay, I'd like to bring it back to C275/21, page 20. I'll just read it out, if I may, please. It says there that Councillor McKinney noted the maximum waiting times for non-urgent consultants-led treatment was 18 weeks from the day of appointment. That should actually read 18 weeks in NHS England from the day of appointment was booked through the NHS referral. Could I have that amended, please, to read that? Thank you.
That's been noted, Councillor McKenna. So, members, I have a proposer. It's Alderman Devaney. Could I have a seconder?
Graham, I'll second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Members, same pages, matters arising.
Chair, can I come in there, Chair?
Just 2 seconds, all right? Okay, Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting some. And it's C274/21, page 17. And I've sent a proposal into committee services there. I might put it up. Mayor, since our last meeting, Mayor, I've been inundated with representation from all types of people, from young people, parents, elderly people, and there is a real massive difficulty in getting access to GP services. There is people going undiagnosed, and I've seen a number of people who've been trying to get GP services for the past year, and they found themselves with cancer, and there's no return on it because it's gone that far. We had a child in Strabane who was desperately sick for quite a period, couldn't get access to GP, and ended up in Royal Victoria Hospital extremely ill. I've had elderly people suffering from Alzheimer's. They can't get access to a GP, and therefore they can't get access to vital medication. I had a young child this week, got glass in the foot, got infection, couldn't get a GP, went to A&E, couldn't get into A&E, A&E refused to see her, and sent her back to GP, and still couldn't get a GP. This policy of GPs not doing face-to-face needs to change. We are sitting and we're on the front of a real clinical health emergency if this policy doesn't change. And this council needs to step up and say, we're supporting our citizens, that we write to the Department of Health, the Minister, the British Medical Association. And Mayor, we've talked earlier on around getting people and encouraging people to get vaccinated. And if people are double vaccinated and they've gone out and said they're double vaccinated and still yet they can't get to see a GP, then it's sending the wrong message. It's completely contradictory that people can't get to see a GP that need diagnosed, double vaccinated, and yet we're saying, no, you're locked down. And then there are people who hasn't taken up the vaccine saying, so what's the point of taking up the vaccine? You can't get it anyway. So society's locked down. So there needs to be some change in policy before this just is a matter of no return. Therefore, I would ask the people in the chamber, virtual chamber, to support this proposal. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. And we have a seconder by Alderman Hussey there. Alderman Atlantic.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. I have absolutely no problem in supporting this notice of motion. I think that Councillor Gallagher raises a very, very good point. The number of people who are and now in crisis situations because they cannot get access to their GP, and it's just spiraling completely out of control. And obviously the knock-on effect is that our A&E is overwhelmed in so many cases. I've had ridiculous conversations with health centres in the past number of weeks, all sorts of things, like when they have a wrong phone number for a person to ring them back, and they won't even change it in the system. Ring back tomorrow to change the wrong phone number. So 24 phone calls later, you're able to do that. All this sort of thing is really adding to the frustration of people. But we have a real crisis building up, as we all know, within our health service at the moment. And it's something that we all know that we need to have much greater resources put into, but in the short term, certainly we need more access to one-to-one, face-to-face meetings with doctors. You can only diagnose so much over a phone, and it isn't working for people. So very happy to support the motion brought forward by Councillor Gallagher. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman McClintic. Sorry, members, 2 seconds. Just to declare an interest there on the motion here, Councillor O'Neill and Councillor McKenny. Next on the list, Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to concur and support the motion and concur with all that I said. We're all hearing stories of how many constituents are having great difficulty in accessing their GP, even to get a phone consultation. So I was just wondering, at the last meeting of the 27th of May, I proposed that we write to the GP Federation and on this very issue and ask them to come on the council. And I was just wondering, has there been any response to that? Thank you, but we fully support the motion.
Councillor Logue, we'll just find that out and we'll just bring that in. We'll move on here. We'll just find out with council officers. Councillor Barr.
Is that, sorry, Mayor, is that myself or Raymond?
Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks to Councillor Gallagher for bringing this forward. It's something that myself and Daniel Crossan raised recently there. Again, just like Councillor Gallagher, been inundated with calls and texts every week about getting through to doctors to see them. I know doctors have been seeing some people, not all, but we do have to commend the doctors through the work during this pandemic as well. But it's, to me, the fault sometimes seems to lie. Now, I'm not blaming the secretaries at all, but it's the triaging that the responsibility for the secretaries to triage some patients seems to be a problem. Where if you were to phone up tomorrow, the first secretary would tell you can't see a doctor, but if you ring back the second day, they tell you can. And that seems to be an issue that needs also addressed throughout this. But again, it's a lack of GPs right across the council area, and something has been highlighted many times through these meetings is the urgent need for a medical centre and McGee to train more GPs for this area, which is highly needed. But we're fully supportive of this proposal today, brought by Councillor Gallagher. So thanks very much for bringing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jason Barr. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor, and hopefully my difficulties are beginning to be overcome. I'm very content to support Councillor Gallagher's motion on this particular issue. As others are saying, it's something that comes through our mobile phones or our Facebook pages, whatever, day on day on day. And there are those who just cannot understand why they cannot get a face-to-face appointment with their local GPs. Councillor Barr, I think, said with regard to the administrative staff who answer the calls, there is almost that sort of thing that they think they are there to protect the doctors from their clients, their patients. That should not be the case. We, you know, as clients of our various medical surgeries or whatever, we need access to those who can talk to us, who know our situations, and it has to be it has to be sorted out as to how we can have that access, because it is not working at this moment in time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Members, I do not see any further speakers on this, and I do see a couple of members abstaining. Councillor Mooney.
Chair, I requested the speaker.
Who's that? Sorry.
Councillor Rivenbar.
Sorry, apologies. Councillor Barr.
Thank you, Mayor. I was reported in the Derry Journal this week in relation to comments I made at the recent special council meeting where Western Urgent Care presented. On the back of that, I received 2 fairly angry emails from GPs. There's obviously conflict between Western Urgent Care and the Trust, and the result of that is that patients are falling between 2 stools. This council needs to get GPs and Western Urgent Care in the chamber at the one time. The problem between GPs not seeing patients face to face and the problems we have with out of hours is linked for the simple reason that GPs are using for want of an R word, the excuse that they're overworked at the minute, so they can't service out of hours, which I don't accept, because the problem with out of hours existed long before COVID. So I do think the council need to have GPs and Western Urgent Care in the chamber at the one time, so that we can ask them questions and they can answer us as openly as they want them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Barr. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to sum up?
Chair, I was looking to come in, if that was okay.
Is that Councillor O'Neill?
Yeah.
And
There's-
Councillor Dobbins.
Apologies, members, I'm using a laptop here. The chat box is a bit different, so go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to say, we support this motion, definitely. And as someone who's worked in A&E, I can tell you that, almost on a daily basis, it's full to capacity. And the staff in there are working incredibly hard, but a lot of the patients who attend A&E are people who could have been seen in a GP setting. And this crisis in the GP service or in our healthcare service is is a result of the underfunding of our healthcare service, of the understaffing, because a lot of the people who are trying to attend these GP appointments are people who are having to manage their chronic conditions by themselves, because they're on waiting lists for years and years. They're being managed pharmaceutically because they're waiting for investigations or they're waiting for treatments, and they're left alone to manage these conditions. And it's that nature, it's the abandonment of people with their conditions that is causing this crisis, and it's that underfunding of the healthcare service. And we're really letting our people down and our patients down. And as healthcare workers, we don't want to do that. And we don't like to do that, but the system is stacked against us. So we really need to move for proper funding of the NHS, so to address the staffing issues and the service issues that are depleted.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. And Councillor Dobbins.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, I'm going to make this brief. There was reference there to that the secretaries within these medical centres are protecting the doctors. I think the exact words that were used there. That is totally wrong. That is totally wrong. Don't forget, these secretaries are there, they're taking the calls. There may be X amount of appointments, which could be filled up in the first half hour. So they also are getting verbally abused by members of the public who think, you know, if you are sick, yeah, but you do not have that right to verbally abuse those secretaries. So I do take umbrage with that comment, you know, and I think that it needs to, what I'm saying needs to be said, that it's not the secretaries, it's actually the system that is at fault. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dobbins and Councillor Evers.
Mayor, I'm going to be really quick here, and I want to formally welcome you at your first meeting as well, and I wish you well in the year ahead. And I completely agree with my colleague there, Councillor Dobbins, about secretaries. They definitely should not be facing any abuse. It's not their fault. I think it's the powers higher up than them putting the pressure on them. So completely agree with Councillor Dobbins. But Mayor, I just wanted to raise this issue is in our rural parts of our DEAs as well. And I know I've got you know, parents sending me screenshots of trying to call GP surgeries with hundreds and hundreds of attempts of calls and can't get anywhere. And then a lot of these parents as well, and some of them don't drive, are having to go to either Oma or out in the Galvin and to get treatment that simply isn't accessible. They should have, you know, their local GPs available at the point of need in their community, where the GP practices are. So I just wanted to add it in. It's a massive issue in the rural areas, especially for young children and older people who don't have direct access to access to hospital or the minor injuries unit in Oma. But thank you very much, Chair.
Councillor Evers, and last speaker now, Councillor McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in there. I would just say, Councillor Jason Barr hit the nail right in the head there. There's a distinct lack of doctors. I can tell you now that there's some nights the on-call doctor would have to cover from as far as Limavady across to Castlederg. And that's how desperate we are for drivers, not drivers, sorry, for doctors. And this is why we find it difficult to cover a whole area. Because if one doctor is called out to see a patient in Castlederg, that is, as you can imagine, it's a very rural area. They're looking for maybe a house in a rural area. It can take up to 2 hours a doctor is out of the office, so to speak, to deal with one patient. We're short of doctors, and that is really the crux of the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKinney. Members, Councillor Mooney.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to wish you well for the year ahead. Just on this debate, Chair, I obviously, my personal capacity, my wife is a full-time GP in Derry and in Oakleaf Medical, and I think on that motion, I declared an interest and I will be abstaining on the matter. But just to highlight from what I can understand, what my wife does, that she does see patients face to face every day. My understanding is her triage system, and she once any calls comes through for her, she would ring the patients and then she would bring them into practice. So just to say that anybody that the GPs aren't seeing patients, I think is probably slightly wrong in that context, because from my understanding, she does see patients on a face-to-face basis every day of the week. Goes out on the weekends to see people who see patients who are in nursing homes on Saturdays and Sundays, because she is committed to her job. But I just wouldn't like this to pass on without saying anything on this motion, and obviously in my capacity I can't really vote on this. I will be abstaining. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to sum up?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's begin. Chair, look, and thanks everyone for supporting this proposal. To see what I'd just like to make clear Chair, on this. There is, and for me, there's hundreds of people not getting access. And this motion is not saying certain doctors, certain GPs are breaking the policy and going out and doing face-to-face. Some are, 100%. Others are sticking to the policy. And this motion is about changing the policy, not about accusing doctors of not doing what they're doing. Some are following the policy, others are not. And I need to be clear and saying that some people do get access, but the vast majority of people that I'm talking to are not getting access because doctors are following the policy. And we need to advocate changing the policy. And that's what this motion is about, changing the policy. Not having to go frontline workers, not having to go GPs per se, just having a change of the policy. And that's what needs to change. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Members, is there anybody against the motion here? If you raise now or put in the chat box. If not, I don't see nobody, members. That's substantial.
Mayor, there's a couple of abstentions that would need to be recorded.
Councillor Boyle, we have them noted on. So, members, I don't see any member against here. We have them recorded, and that motion passes. And Councillor Gallagher. So, moving on, members, we're going to move to the Councillor Duffy on matters arising.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And Mayor, it was remiss of me earlier not to wish you well for the year ahead and congratulate you in your post. Just in matters arising, it's C263/21, the asphalt plant at South Annashone. In the minutes of the meeting, we discussed the Micah situation, and I just would like to put it on record as well. Our thanks to yourself, Mayor, for coming out and supporting that campaign. I know it meant a lot to some of the families that I've been talking to that have been affected. So just in terms of that, there was no actual proposal made on the night. But since then, I have been talking to families from the city and district who are affected by the scandal. They either have parents, they have family, who have houses that are crumbling around them, and they would appreciate the support of Derry City and Strabane District Council. And I know quite a few of them travelled to Dublin to the protest as well. So I would like to make just a short proposal around a letter. So I'm hoping that you would accept it, Mayor. I just put it in the chat box.
Members, just what they see here.
Mayor, it's in the chat box there now. It's just in terms of writing to the Dublin government expressing our support as a council area for the campaign for 100% redress for those that have been affected by the scandal. And it's just a gesture in terms of the support from this council area for the many people from it who have been affected. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I'm happy enough with that. And we have a seconder by Councillor Hargan. Councillor Hargan, do you want to comment on that?
Thank you, Mayor, and like everybody else, I wish you well in your role of chair, given how difficult we know it is. And yeah, we're happy to support that proposal. I actually did travel down to Dublin to be part of what was a massive protest. Thousands and thousands of people from Donegal, from across the northwest, from Cavan. It was very, very powerful. And speaking to so many people, you really get a sense of how this Mika crisis has really disrupted and destroyed people's lives. And it's within the gift of the government, the Irish government, to solve this crisis. There's been a lot of talk from the big parties, from Fianna Gael, from Fianna Fáil, but very little action. And it is people power. It was the protests in Buncrana and Letterkenny, and now the massive mobilisation down to Dublin that has really forced this issue onto the agenda of the government. And I know there's a working group set up now, but hopefully there won't need to be more big mobilisations. But if there is, I think we should be sending our solidarity. People have been put through an absolutely terrible situation with this, and it speaks to so many problems in terms of big developers, government regulations, people not being able to access government, people not being heard, people being heard but then nothing being done. And I think that the key thing that has happened here that matters is the huge people power movement that is being led by ordinary people whose homes have been affected right across Donegal. So absolutely support the motion. We should be standing in solidarity here with our neighbours, and we should be sending a message of solidarity to their people power campaign.
Thank you, Councillor Horgan. Councillor Barr, do you want to speak on that? I see that on the chat box. Okay, moving on, Councillor Riley.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillor Cusack has indicated she's going to speak to this item for us. I was just coming in to second the proposal, but I see that's been done already. So I'll let Councillor Cusack speak to it in due course, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Alderman McClantic. Alderman McClantic.
Hi, Mayor, sorry.
There you are now.
Sorry, having some technical difficulties here as well. It's a basic right of people to have their own home and to feel safe in their own home. And this is one of the biggest scandals of our time, I think. And it's important, I think it's really essential that there is 100% redress for these people that have been affected. And I know many other people are living in fear in case they may actually find that they have been affected as well and the problem hasn't manifested itself. So absolutely agree. It's almost, shall we say, a no-brainer that we would support these people and their demand for 100% redress. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McClantic. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in again. Well, I watched with horror the pictures on the TV of people's homes coming around them, and really, we fully support this motion, and she would get 100% redress. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKenna. Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, on behalf of the SDLP, we want to support this motion. And personally, I have close family, many friends who are currently suffering the daily worry, the daily concern, the sheer feeling of helplessness, not only financially, but this is their homes that they're talking about that's crumbling around them, the roof over their children's heads. So yes, they deserve every piece of help they can get from every corner of this country and beyond. And I really want to take this opportunity to pay tribute to Eileen Doherty, who is a personal friend of mine. Her and the Make Action Group, she has led this campaign. She has been relentless in the drive to get justice for them. She's not doing this for any recognition. She's not doing this for any political status. She's not doing this for any payment. She's doing it because she's passionate about people getting justice, being looked after and being helped by the government. So just want to put it on record. We commend them for what they're doing, out of selflessness, from their own time, from their own energies, and what they've achieved and the campaign that they have achieved and the recognition that they've got in the media, be it the television, be it the papers, be it the radio. That really has to be recognised and applauded. So thank them for that, and 100% behind this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cusack. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting us in. And yes, very happy to support this motion. And I think that the key stuff in this is around the 100% redress. The government down there is putting on a scheme, but that scheme is actually a blockage in trying to resolve this issue. The current one, it rules people out. There is massive affordability issues, from talking about expensive surveys that need carried out up front, and then expected to be this issue to be resolved without causing further damage to other items that's in the property. And then there's rental issues, there's people have to pay mortgages, there's massive issues where the government is selling this as a high percentage, but in fact it's not. The current scheme is only in around, if you do the maths right, it's probably around a 50% compensation scheme, and people just can't afford it. And what it does is it's driving people into poverty, and it's driving people into poor mental health, and it needs to be redressed at 100%. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. I don't see any more members wishing to talk. Councillor Duffy, do you want to sum up?
No, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank everybody for their contribution to the debate. It is a scandal. I have family as well whose houses are falling down. I have a nephew who has put the fines in for his house, spent £10,000, and I know that's not a lot, but he's only 19, and that all has to be dug out. I've other family where houses, the cracks are showing already. So look, anything that we can do in terms of supporting the families that have been affected by this, because it is devastating for a lot of them, and particularly some people who are elderly and they just don't know where they're going next with it. So it has to be the 100% redress, as Councillor Gallagher has pointed out there, the pitfalls of the existing scheme. So thank you everybody for the support.
And thank you, Councillor Duffy, for bringing that forward. Obviously, I've shown my support as mayor, and it's terrible what happened there to a lot of families in Donegal. So, members, anybody against the proposal, if you want to put on the chat box or raise it now. Members, I don't see anybody against that. That proposal is passed unanimously from Councillor Duffy. Moving on, members, to matters arising. I am going to go back now to Councillor Sina Barr.
Thank you, Mayor, and let me start by wishing you all the very best in your role. On matters arising, C285-21, page 33, following on from the motion passed last month on the new plans for immigration, I want to call on the Joint First Ministers to use their influence with the UK Home Office and ensure the EU settlement scheme is scrapped in its current form. Mayor, there have been numerous reports of delays and confusion about how the scheme operates, and reports of threatening and derogatory letters being sent by the Home Office. As the deadline for the applications is fast approaching, many people across Northern Ireland have been receiving alarming letters from the Home Office. We at the SDLP want the scheme to be replaced with a declaratory system of residence rights, similar to that which many EU states have introduced to UK nationals residents in those countries. Over the last number of weeks, I have been contacted by so many people who have created a home and a life for themselves and their families in Northern Ireland, people who are now worried about their future. Information about the EU settlement scheme operated by the British government has been poorly advertised and has not reached significant numbers of people who will be affected by the changes to these immigration rules. And the SDLP has raised these issues and will continue to press the British government ministers to radically alter this approach. But we all know that 13 countries in the EU have implemented a declaratory system for residence rights, where UK nationals living there do not have to apply for residence rights. There is no reason why a similar system could not be operated here effectively. That is exactly what our joint First Minister should be seeking to introduce here. That one-size-fits-all approach pursued by the Home Office also ignores our unique situation with a land border with the EU, creating even more barriers for residents. This is not only places undue stress and anxieties of those who live here, but it makes it a less attractive place to work and settle for those coming from abroad. Therefore, Mayor, I would like to make a proposal, and I'll put that proposal in the chat right now. Just give me a second there. Okay, so my proposal is for this council to write to the executive office urging the first and deputy first ministers to press the Home Office to scrap the EU settlement scheme in its current format and replace it with a declaratory system of residence right similar to that which many EU states have introduced for UK national residents in those countries. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor, would you have a second there? And Councillor Riley, second that.
Yeah, happy to second it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Man Hussey.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Barr, for bringing that proposal. And I think it's very logical. It's a quid pro quo scenario between the United Kingdom and the EU states, and I have no issue at all in supporting that particular motion. Thank you for bringing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Members, I don't see any further speakers. Councillor Ferguson.
Just to say that we're also happy to support the motion. We think that our society is better when it's filled with different residents from all across the world, and we feel like there should be no barriers at all. People have come here to raise their families, and it should be, like Councillor Hussey said, pro quo, where everyone should be able to stay here with as little barriers put in place. So we're happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Heaney.
Thank you, Mayor, and like ours, just to wish you well in your new role. I just again to confirm, we also are more than happy to support this motion. The system that's been put in place is causing total unnecessary fear and concern amongst the people that are impacted by this resettlement scheme, and I think it's a scandal, and I agree fully with the sentiments made by Councillor Sinead Barr, and we're happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Heaney. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in on behalf of the DEP. We have no issue in supporting the proposal coming forward here. Thanks, Mayor.
Alderman Devaney. Councillor Hargan.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in, and thank you, Lillian, Councillor Sinead Barr, for the motion. And you know, it's absolutely true. I mean, look, the UK government have created a hostile environment for migrants and immigrants and people who've made their home here, who maybe weren't born here. And we have to do everything we can to protect people, to make sure that our society remains a diverse society where people are fully valued, where people's contribution is fully valued. It benefits us, and hopefully it'll benefit the people who've made a decision to come and live here along with us. And these deadlines that have been artificial deadlines that have been imposed by the UK government, that they're refusing to extend to give people an opportunity to get things in order, are completely unjustified and completely wrong. And I think we have to speak out against it. Look, you know, there's a system of borders that is about controlling people. It's about telling people what they're worth. We have to work towards a society where there are no borders, and that certainly is socialist what we are in favour of, getting rid of the borders that divide people, getting rid of the borders that tell some groups that you're special and other groups that you're not as important. And we also have to call attention to the way our border works here, our invisible partition border, where with a common travel agreement, many people can go back and forward across the border. But if you're a person of color, you're much more likely to be stopped and harassed by authorities at the border. And people don't necessarily see that, but the statistics for it are shocking. So we have to work against that as well. So we're in favour of any measure that will assist and protect people and challenge what we would see as racism. Thank you.
Councillor Hargan, members, I don't see any more indicated speakers. Councillor Sinopar, do you want to just sum up on that proposal?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you everyone for your contribution to the debate and for supporting this proposal. I think it is important for all of us here to understand that the actions of the British Home Office will not only impact on individual EU citizens, organizations and employers employing EU nationals without settled status or without claims being processed could also face severe penalties for using what the Home Office refer as illegal labor, despite having made statutory rights to work checks in line with the Home Office rules. So this proposal is about protecting people's rights, and the Home Office needs to stop dehumanizing innocent people and continually creating a hostile environment for migrant workers who are contributing immensely into our society here in so many different positive ways. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sinopar. Members, if there's anybody against the proposal, could you speak now or put on the chat box? Members, I'm not seeing anybody, so the proposal for Councillor Sinopar passes unanimously. Members, moving on to matters arising, I can see Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. It was just on the PAC side decision on Victoria Road. And it was just a check in on a proposal that was made several months ago about a report from officers on protecting our track beds for future use. And the proposal also was for organising a half-day conference with TransLink, the FA and other relevant departments and other neighbouring councils and rail campaigners as a means of discussion in practical terms how we can advance the development of rail in the Northwest in line with our support for rail expansion and regional economic development and our climate emergency pledge. So that was made a few months ago. So it was just a check on the progress of that. But I'd also like to note the responses from the Minister of Infrastructure to the Assembly questions on that PAC decision around the planning proposal over the track bed. And it was just to note that the RDS and the PPS 13 and also the draft local development plan are all of which protect our disused track beds. The Minister for Infrastructure have said that they are all material planning considerations that it should have been before our planning committee. So just to note that, and just for an update from officers on the report for protecting our track beds. Thanks. That's all for that.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. They've been noted. Karen Falch, are you on the line?
Yeah, Chair, if I can just come in there and just firstly to assure members we have retained counsel in terms of the proposal to review that decision of the PAC, and in terms of the previous notice of motion to council, we have written to DFI and to TransLink to ask them to take part in an event, and we are preparing a report for the planning committee in terms of protection of the flatbed, which again members will relate to the advice that we receive from Council. Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Karen. Members, that concludes matters arising. So members,
Sorry,
move.
Mayor, I had another one on there. And thanks, Karen, for that update.
I thought you actually had that on the last one, but go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, it was just about the Councillor Tierney's proposal for the rainbow crossing. And it was just there was a comment about the money being used towards health, and it was just to highlight that the health inequalities that the LGBT plus community face, particularly with regards to mental health. But I just wanted to focus on the health inequalities for trans people in particular, because it's just around there's one gender identity clinic in the north, and it hasn't actually taken any new patients on for 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, and it's now refusing new referrals as it deals with this extensive backlog. And there's approximately 500 people currently waiting on the waiting list, and some have been waiting on their first initial appointment for more than 4 years for the gender identity clinic service. And that is actually just for the initial conversation with a consultant or provider. And the service is at breaking point. They've also dropped funding to the service over the last couple of years, and they haven't invested in bringing in healthcare providers to match the demand on the greater services. And there's no surgeries for trans people happening at the moment. Many of those wish to have gender affirming surgeries want it to happen in Northern Ireland. And it's a huge undertaking for anyone, but it's made even more accessible for trans and non-binary people who are forced to have to travel to England or other countries for this. And with regards to the trans community in the Northwest, like they're having to travel up to over 4 hours to access these appointments that might last less than an hour. And I was just hoping to make a proposal, if that was okay, just to write a letter to the Health Minister just around these healthcare issues for our trans community here. So I'll just put that on the chat box.
Councillor Nath, you just put that on the chat box. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Me and technology, hey. That's it on there.
Councillor O'Neill, this proposal, this is separate from what you're raising with the rainbow crossing. So if I could ask you if you could bring that forward, the motion, bring it forward the next council meeting.
I suppose it's about the LGBT community, Mayor.
No, Councillor Neil, I'm not going to accept that. If you bring it the next council meeting. Okay, members, moving on to agenda 8, and that is confirmation open minutes for special meeting Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Tuesday the 25th of May 2021, and that is from pages 43 to 66.
So proposed, Mayor.
I second it.
And we have a proposer and seconder, and that is Alderman Devaney, and who was the other one? Alderman Breslin? Thank you very much. Members, matters arising on the same pages?
Mayor, just one wee issue.
Go ahead, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the previous Mayor and the officers for setting up this meeting, and everyone knows the issues I raised around the poor workmanship being carried on at a number of properties, and the complaints from tenants. I have to say, since that meeting, Mayor, I have met on site with Paul Isherwood and some heads of the housing executive locally here, and we have met at quite a number of houses where tenants were complaining about the workmanship. And I have to say it was a very positive meeting. All the issues were raised, and look, I just await feedback coming back from Paul on how to deal with the issue. But once again, thanks to everyone who set up the meeting. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Councillor Logue, here, is that on the same issue, Councillor Logue?
Yes. Yes,
Go
it
ahead.
is. Mayor, look, I know we had the unions on talking about the revitalisation of the housing executive. I was under the impression, I know the housing executive command, but I want to make a proposal that we, given the importance of the proposal by the minister, that we bring the housing executive to the council to present at a special meeting on the revitalisation proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. Could you put that on the chat box?
Yes.
Just as Councillor Logue puts that on the chat box, Alderman Hussey, do you want to come on the previous issue on that?
It's really a comment more than a question, Mayor. I'm delighted that Alderman Devaney has had such an excellent response from the Northern Ireland Housing Executive. I'm sure I have to report the other end of that scale. I've been waiting from before Christmas for Housing Executive to engage with myself and residents re a scheme and indeed the sign off of that scheme. So I'm not content with the service from Housing Executive or indeed their subcontractors. And I think the issue that Councillor Logue is putting on screen needs to be expanded as to the proper response of the Northern Ireland Housing Executive, not alone to actually engaging on their schemes, but their follow-up and their quality assurance as to the work that is carried out by subsidiary agents who work on their behalf. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor Logue, would you have a seconder for that proposal?
Chair, I'll second it.
That was Councillor Duffy.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hargan, do you want to talk on the proposal?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mayor. Look, yeah, look, you know, we've had quite a few discussions about housing here in recent months, and rightly so, because we have a housing crisis. As reported, we have 43,000 people on the housing waiting list, and there's a lot of problems too with people not having their houses renovated quickly enough or well enough. And as Councillor Logue said, we did have deputations by Stuart Smith, the housing expert, and by Sheena McDade from NIPSA, and I think they were very useful. And at that meeting, as I recall, we did agree that we would invite in the housing executive for a presentation about the plans for the housing executive, and we also agreed that we would invite people from different parts of England and Scotland, Glasgow, I believe, who had campaigned against the kind of privatisation that the minister is proposing. So, you know, I'm happy that to support this, but I feel like we already have a standing invitation to the housing executive to come in to speak on their proposals or what they think of proposals for the housing executive. So this would be replicating it. We could ask them to make their presentation broader. So can we just get clarification on that from officers first? And then the other point I wanted to make, look, our council has taken a very clear position against the minister's proposal to break up and privatise the housing executive. And we've been joined in that by the Trades Council Consultative Committee, and we've also been joined in that by the Northern Ireland Committee of ICTU at their recent conference, where it was unanimously.
Councillor, can you bring your comments to an end, please?
Yeah, I'm just finishing now. Where a proposal to reject the minister's plans was unanimously supported by every single trade union represented in NICTU. So, you know, I'm happy to hear from the housing executive, and I felt like we'd already agreed to have them in on that.
John Boyle here on an issue of
clarity. Two seconds, Councillor Boyle. Councillor Boyle.
It's fine. It's just been clarified on the screen. It actually said a visitation. A visitation is actually the word from God, and much and all we might think we've a lot of power. I don't think we've got that level of power just at this point. So thanks for that.
Point noted, Councillor Boyle. Thank you. Councillor Cusack, you're declaring interest in this topic, and Councillor Logue, do you want to sum up on it? I see no more further speakers.
Sorry about the typo there. I was doing it in haste. So apologies for that. No, look, I also was of the mind that council were to be invited in. However, during a meeting, in a party meeting with the chief executive and the chair of the housing executive during the week, I did inquire about where they coming in, and they were not, they weren't familiar with that invite. So hence the proposal that is on the screen at the minute. I'm aware of Councillor Harkin's comments and positions. However, I would like it put in record that I do think that it is very premature, at the very least, to come to permit positions when you haven't got the full information, and positions can change. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. So, members, there's a proposal on the table here. If there's any members against the proposal, I have heard none so far. Could you make it clear now or put it in the chat box? Okay, members. 3 seconds. Alderman Breslin, do you want to come on that?
I think there's some of the councillors here taking a misunderstanding of the housing executive. As far as I know, the housing executive is written to the 11 councils asking for a meeting
to tell them how they're going to process with starting to build their own new houses and things. The housing executive, he says, no, I'll be getting the powers back maybe in 2 or 3 years' time. So I think, if someone's jumping the guns there, they're taking the wrong idea what the housing executive wants to come for.
Thank you, Alderman President. Members, I don't see further any more speakers. Members, anybody? Members, I don't see anybody against it. Is there? Councillor Jackson, do you want on this?
No, Mayor, I want to talk on the same issue, but it's
Not on this proposal.
Not on this proposal.
Okay, members, I don't see anybody against the proposal, so
Mayor,
go ahead.
thank you. It's Director, Alderman Hussey. I take on board what Alderman Breslin is saying.
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order, Mayor. Brian Tierney.
Councillor Tierney.
Mayor, in the interest of trying to speed things up, can I just point out that Councillor Loke has already summed up on her proposal?
Thanks. Look, Councillor Tierney, I totally agree with you. Alderman Hussey, I don't see any further members here against this. No, I'm going to bring us to a vote here, so I'm going to pass on to Stephen now to go through the members so we can move on in this matter.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Can I vote on this? I sit on the Housing Executive Board.
Alderman Breslin, this wouldn't be a pecuniary matter. This is simply an invitation to the Housing Executive to come in and speak on a matter, so it's not a pecuniary matter, so you're more than welcome to speak. Members, just before we go to the vote, can I ask if there's any members dissenting? Pardon me, Chair. Mayor, sorry.
Yeah, that proposal passes by Councillor Logue. Members, Sir Jackson, you're on a different.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And again, like others, I just want to wish you all the best for the year ahead. Mayor, we've during the discussion we've just heard, there has, I suppose, it's been widely acknowledged that there's huge housing pressures within our council area. There's a housing crisis right across the north, and our council area. There's a huge demand within that as well. And I know it's no surprise, as part of our LDP discussions, housing there's been a lot of focus around housing, and in particular social and affordable housing, and how we can try and address that need through the LDP process. Mayor, I just want to express our disappointment that on receiving notification of a meeting with the housing executive for next week. We received it yesterday. This is a meeting that we've specifically requested as part of the LDP process. We had stalled the LDP process in one way because there has been huge concerns around our inability to meet the social housing need as part of the LDP process, and and we wanted to speak to the housing executive to see how we could be working in partnership to try and develop a local development plan that would be fit for purpose and that would address the needs of everybody living within the Derry City and Strabane district. Mayor, we've received notification for a meeting next Wednesday. It's scheduled for 1 hour. Prior to and there's no possibility for it running on because there's a scheduled planning committee meeting held that same day. I don't believe that it's given the issue of housing as part of the LDP enough importance. We're not given enough time to discuss it with partners in the housing executive. So I want to propose that we go away and we look at alternative dates so we can have the space and the time to discuss and to give the issue of housing the the, the attention that it deserves. So I want to make that proposal that we don't go ahead with the meeting next week because 1 hour isn't going to do it. And I think it's completely ignoring the fact that how big of an issue housing is. And so I just want to make that proposal and ask officers they work through they work with members' diaries and try and get an alternative date and allow much longer than an hour.
Councillor Jackson. I'm going to bring in Stephen now.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Jackson, we will look at that and I'll speak to the officers in the morning and we'll try and get that rescheduled for a more agreeable time and a longer session if that's agreeable.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Okay, members, I don't see any other further indications of matters arising, and I'm going to move on to Agenda 9. So that's confirmation of open minutes of the annual meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Monday the 7th of June 2021, and that was from pages 67 to page 90. For accuracy, could I have a proposer and seconder, please?
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Alderman Devaney, propose. Could I have a seconder, members?
I'll second it.
And that was Alderman Breslin second. Members, matters arising on the same pages. No matters arising. Okay. Members, moving on to Agenda 10, confirmation open minutes of the special meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Monday the 14th of June 2021. And could have, for accuracy, on pages 91 to 108. Alderman Guy.
Yes, Chair. Thanks for letting me know. Just matters arising from it. Happy to propose anyway. Just on behalf of the Ulster Unionist Party.
Sorry, Alderman Guy. Is this on accuracy?
Sorry, it was matters arising.
Matters arising.
But
just
happy
2
to
seconds.
happy to propose.
2 seconds. Members could have a seconder.
Seconded, Mayor. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. And on the same pages, matters arising. Go ahead, Alderman Guy.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the Ulster Unionist Party, I nominate myself on the Bonfire Working Group. There's no doubt that there's still a few issues which need to be addressed, but after speaking to grassroots representatives from various bonfire groups who still are not willing to engage with the working group, we agreed that it was better that I provide representation for them on the working group itself. So happy to nominate Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Guy. Go ahead, Councillor Turney. Is this on the same issue?
Well, it's in the same. It's matters arising from the same minutes. But if I could just touch on that issue first of all, Mayor, and I welcome the fact that the Ulster Unionist Party have nominated someone under the Bonfire Working Group, and I think it's a positive step forward. Hopefully, the DUP will follow suit and nominate someone as well, because we do need input from the wider Unionist community right across the city and district in relation to issues that will crop up, no doubt, over the summer. So I on behalf of the SDLP, welcome the fact that the Ulster Unionist Party have decided they nominate the Bonfire Working Group. Chair, on another matter from those minutes, can I ask officers to check in relation to the nomination of members to the Advice Services Panel? I understand that there's a number of members who are on the Advice Services Panel who are also on the board of directors of advice service providers. And I just want to check in relation to a conflict of interest. If those people are sitting on the advice services panel overseeing the work that has been carried out by advice service providers, I think that may be a conflict of interest. So if we can just get some clarification or a report brought back here, whatever way you want to do it. Thank you.
Councillor Attorney Officers are going to look on that. So they are. And
Thank
they'll
you,
get
Mayor.
back to you. They'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. And just I wanted to come on just on the back of Councillor or Alderman Guy. I wanted to welcome that decision from Alderman Guy. We have had a number of meetings just this week in terms of the bonfire working group, and there is significant work to do. So I welcome the fact that the Ulster Unions Party have come on board, and just to echo Councillor Tierney's hopes that the DUP might follow suit. So just to welcome that, Darren. Great job.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor, and also to welcome the news from Alderman Guy. And we had a very honest conversation where Alderman Guy has taken the leadership and working with the bonfire groups and the grass level to express their frustration. And I hope with him on the working group now we can adapt and we can evolve so that it does cover any issues that is highlighted. But again, like others councillors, I hope that the DUP do choose to come on board and take that role and being the voice for their communities. But no, welcome it 100% from Alderman Guy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Members, I don't see any other matters arising on agenda 10. And as discussed, we housekeeping and chairperson's business. The time is now 6 o'clock, so we're going to take a 10-minute coffee break. Thank you, members. Okay, members, thank you and welcome back. Members, I'm going to put it out here. Obviously, after adoption, opening minutes with the following committees, we will move to the confidential. We move the confidential matter to the meeting. The reason I'm asking this here, we'll go offline. It's just for officers here online who's been at work all day, and it's just like a timing because obviously there could be matters arising where members want to come back and ask questions. So obviously we'll have officers online there. So members, if I could have a proposer and second on that, and then we'll move them back to the motions then.
Proposed, Mayor. Philip McKenna.
Thank you,
Seconded, Alderman Devaney. Seconded, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Okay, members, agenda 11, adoption open minutes, the following committees. Monthly Governance Strategy Planning Committee held on Tuesday, 8th of June 2021, pages 109 to 136 for accuracy.
I propose that. Alan Breslin.
Alderman Breslin proposed. Could I have a seconder, members?
Seconded, Alderman Devaney.
Alderman Devaney seconded. And matters arising? Councillor Boyle? Michaela?
Mayor, sorry, I was having technical issues there just before the break. And I actually wanted in on item 10 on page 97. Prior to the break, it was the joint committees on education authority. And it was just, there was an error. I'm listed on item 10, page 97.
Okay. Michaela, I know that a few of the members are having technical problems tonight, so no, that's fine. We'll just go there.
No,
Yeah.
Mayor, I just wanted to say I'm listed on that as an SDLP member on the Joint Committee for Education Authority, just to have it corrected. Thank you, Mayor.
That's been noted, Michaela. Okay, thank you. Okay, members, moving back to the governance streets plan matters arising. I see no matters arising. Member, monthly planning committee held on the Wednesday, the 9th of June, 2021, pages 137 to 148 for accuracy. Could I have a proposer and seconder?
I propose that. Alan Breslin.
Alderman Breslin proposed. Seconder.
Happy to second.
And that's Councillor Jackson. Thank you. Members, matters arising on planning committee? No matters arising. Okay, members, monthly business culture committee held on Tuesday the 15th of June 2021, pages 149 to pages 160. For accuracy, could I have a proposer? Oh. Councillor Heaney, do you want on there?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Just it says in BC 106-21, the Chair expressed his disappointment with the remarks made by the British Prime Minister at the recent G7 summit, when he once again indicated a breach of internal law that should read international law.
Okay, Councillor Heaney, that's been noted. Councillor Donnelly?
Thank you, Chair. Page 152, BC 106/21, saying about the problem was partition, and they have it down as patrician. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Donnelly, that has been noted. I see no further comments on accuracy. Could I have a proposer and seconder, please?
Proposed.
Seconded, Mayor. Shauna.
Thank you, Councillor Cusack. Was that a proposer, Councillor Donnelly?
No, Councillor Heaney.
Councillor Heaney, thank you. Okay, members, matters arising on the business culture committee. Councillor Duffy just gave through there on mine. and we propose and second that. What's the apologies?
Yeah.
You're away at everybody here, so you are, Councillor Duffy. So no matters arising. Okay, members. Moving on. Monthly Environment Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, 16th of June 2021, pages 161 to pages 194 for accuracy.
So proposed, Mayor Alderman Devaney.
Sorry, Mayor Connectman, I indicated there on accuracy for ER.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's ER 177/21. It says, I am scrolling here to see where it says it, but it does say that I live in Sandbank. I don't, I said I live in the Sandbank area, so just for accuracy there, thanks.
That has been noted. On accuracy for environment regeneration, see no further indicated speakers, and Alderman Devaney would come in with a proposal. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded, Councillor McHugh.
Thank you, Councillor McHugh. Okay, members, Monthly Environment Regeneration Committee matters arising. Councillor Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor. It was remiss of me not to welcome you and congratulate you on your elevation to the position. On the issue, the proposed disabled parking bays, absolutely welcome that. But that will involve painting the white lines on the road to ensure that these are properly marked. It will always also involve putting on the wording, the disabled parking, etc. However, I don't know about other councillors, but I have received numerous complaints about fading white line painting on many roads throughout my own area, and I would imagine that others are in the same boat. Indeed, going back to the 12th of April, I have a reply from DFI Road Service, which says that they were awaiting confirmation of their budget allocation for this type of work. Similarly, then, I had a second issue that I raised with them, and on the 23rd of this month, I received a similar reply from DFI Road Service telling me that they were awaiting confirmation of budget allocation for this year. Now, we're 1/4 through the financial year allocation of DFI, and they are still awaiting budget allocation for white lining. I think there was another issue that the Minister, Minister Mallon, brought to the attention of the Assembly, whereby there were procurement issues. And I'm wondering to myself, where are our local Western Division DFI Road Service at the moment on the programme that they brought to this council that they would enact? There are two issues there. There's the white lining issue. And I mean, a quarter way through their budgetary year, they still don't know how much they have to spend on white lining. And we've been told that there are procurement issues that will prevent road servicing programs that they have promised this council that they were going to enact. So I'm asking, can council send a letter to DFI, to the minister, and ask, well, what exactly are you going to do within the promise programme that you have announced to Derry City and Strabane District Council area? Thank you, Mayor.
Chair, if perhaps I could come in there just to update members and remind them that we have got the special E&R committee on the 5th of July, where the divisional roads manager is coming in to present his report. So again, any issues, we could do that in addition to writing to the minister if members are happy with that.
Mayor, with your permission, I appreciate what the director is saying, but this is an issue that comes from the department. They need to sort this out, and we need to sort it out before that meeting that we have with our local officials. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. So, Alderman Hussey, could you put that on the chat box? And I'll bring in Councillor McHugh on the same issue.
Yeah, Gormagat, Mayor, can you hear me all right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to come on there to endorse what Councillor Hussey has been saying there with regards to road markings and indeed other issues and responsibility under DFI. There seems to be a standard response at present that they're on the list and they'll be carried out when resources permit. And that's a response that I have actually received this week from DFI on 2 separate issues. One of them similar to what Derek raised there regarding road markings and Castledare town centre. So, you know, I totally endorse what Councillor Hussey has said there, and Chair, I'd be content to second Councillor Hussey's proposal. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hugh. We're just waiting for Alderman Hussey to put that up in the chat box. Councillor Edwards, do you want to come on?
Thanks, Mayor, and I agree with the 2 previous speakers, and speaking to Alderman Hussey about it as well. I've raised road markings issues and Castledare town, and some of those are at junctions, which does present, you know, a health and safety issue there, and Castledare itself. But I do agree with other sentiments within DFI Western Division. There's a lot of footpaths that need repaired across the Derry DA, and emailing and getting a standard response as well. There's also issues with drainage and sewage as well. So there's a whole multitude of issues, but like Karen said there, it will be good to get that update next month and raise those concerns there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. So we have a proposal and seconder members from Alderman Hussey and seconded by Councillor McHugh. Can you bring that up? Perfect on the screen. Thank you. Members, anybody wish to speak on the proposal on the table? Happy enough. Alderman Hussey, do you want to sum up the proposal?
Sorry, Mayor, can I just come in? Sorry, I couldn't find the button there.
Go ahead, Councillor McKenna.
Look, can we also put there says that have responsibility for other issues, responsibility for road safety? I've been trying to get them to respond to letters. I've been sending reference speed limits in certain parts of the city, and it's just as our other members have said, it's a typical same old letter. You know, we'll respond in time, and we can't do this because of COVID, and it's just onward and onward. So I wonder, could you maybe be able to put that into, and I hope you don't mind actually maybe modifying that slightly, Alderman Hussey there, just to put in about on serious road safety issues.
Mayor, happy to accept white lining and other road safety issues, including other issues that they have responsibility for.
Thank you, Fred. Alderman Hussey gives 2 seconds until that goes up.
And indeed, yeah. Content with that as it stands.
Perfect. Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Alderman Hussey, do you want to sum that up then?
Sorry, not road issues, road safety issues.
You happy enough there?
Mayor, content with that, and I think if we have that proposed prior to our meeting with local DFI officials on that, it would be useful. And I think within the letter, if council can stress that we are meeting with local officials and would like answers available for our local officials who we know do an excellent job, but they need the tools to do they need the resources to do the job. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Members, I don't see any award indicated. Members, if any members against that proposal, could you speak now or put on chat box? Okay, thank you, members. The proposal from Alderman Hussey passes. Moving on to Councillor Ferguson on matters arising on ENR.
Thank you, Mayor. And it's ER 199/21 Maboy update. And it's not your usual Maboy update, obviously. Maboy has been a huge issue for many residents that live close by. You know, previously, whenever it was in when it was open, there was trucks and lorries coming up and down that very rural road at all times of night, and residents were really disturbed. But unfortunately, there at the weekend, the locks were broken at the gate at Maboy with a grinder. And on Saturday night at 11:45, I received a number of phone calls to say that there was a rally of sorts going on with cars, and the PSNI turned up to 100 cars at Maboy inside the cement. Now, council officers have been great in getting in touch with Derry and trying to get it secured again before the weekend, because they do think that it is going to be an antisocial hotspot. And I think for the residents that have been through a lot, I think if council officers could just, whenever they're dealing with any kind of communications in regards to Maboy, to keep that in mind, that residents are terrified that this will become an antisocial hotspot due to the period of time and the length of time it's taking because of the legal issues and because of the ownership issues. But just my thanks to council officers and to the PSNI for their quick response with this over the weekend, and hopefully the residents this weekend coming will get a good night's sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. I see there's another member looking on the same item on that. Alderman Ramsey, is that on the same item?
Sorry, Mayor, you were breaking up there.
Is that on the same item as Councillor Ferguson's?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just to elaborate.
Alderman
over the weekend.
Alderman Ramsey, we're losing you. Try it again.
Get me now?
Alderman Ramsey, see if you turn your camera off. It might
I
work a
will.
bit better. We keep losing you.
Yeah, that's better. Get me now, okay?
Yep.
Leave the same group of people, because yeah, there was about 100 cars involved, and what they were actually doing was speeding, racing up and down the Link Road, and they also were doing donuts, etc., in the car park there, up at the Link Road as well. So this is a serious issue, and the PSNI have been on the ground. Now, they did get it stopped on Sunday night in the Waterside, and they have been talking about Maboy, where someone's going to have to get that place secured, because this happened in Letterkenny last week as well, during the rally, the Donegal rally, and apparently it was a lot worse, actually, apparently. But yeah, thanks to Councillor Ferguson for raising the issue there. But just to let people know that the people of the Waterside suffered as well, up until 4 a.m. on Sunday morning. But Sunday night it was nipped in the bud about, I think it was about 12 o'clock. It was nipped in the bud, and Sunday night was fine then. So just to let people know, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Ramsey. Members, I'm just going to bring in Karen Fault here.
Yeah, Chair, as members have outlined, they contacted officers, and we have made contact with Derry and their SIB advisors who manage and are responsible for the site, who have advised us that they are undertaking the necessary repairs, and indeed that PSNI are monitoring the situation. So I think there's really no further update on that at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Okay, members, moving on to Councillor O'Neill on matters arising on ENR.
Thank you, Mayor. It was just around the proposed gold mine and the Sperrins. I just wanted to commend all those environment protectors who walked from Greencastle and the Sperrins to Stormont at the weekend, bringing the campaign against toxic gold mining to the halls of power and raising the voice of the 37,494 people who have objected on the planning portal to this toxic gold mine. So I just wanted to commend all those earth protectors who are our independent environmental protection agents. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Okay, members, I have no further members for matters arising. Moving on to the Monthly Health and Communities Committee held on 1st to 17th of June 2021, pages 195 to pages 284. For accuracy.
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Seconded, Michaela Boyd.
Right, members. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, page 203, I actually said ASD rather than AHD.
That has been noted, Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you.
Any further members on accuracy? Okay, did I get a proposer? Was that Alderman Devaney?
Yep, was.
And could I have a seconder, members?
Michaela.
Thank you, Michaela. So, proposer and seconder. On matters arising, Councillor Duffy, on the same pages, 195 to 284.
Mayor, I'm coming in on HC
Okay.
159J. I'm not sure what page it is. I'm scrolling here. 159, it must, yeah. So just in terms of HC 159/21, I want to come on to propose that we support option 1 that was presented to us at the committee. At the committee, we were coming into the committee to make a decision, and then things sort of changed on the day, and we agreed that we would meet again as an advice panel prior to coming to full council. So we met on Monday. We have had a very full discussion around this. So I wanted to come in today to give clarity to workers, to give clarity to advice services, and to not prolong this any longer, because this has been going on for quite some time in terms of the discussions and debate around it. I think that we need to, at this point, support option 1. We have legal advice on it in terms of all the options and where we would stand legally on them. And from my reckoning, and from I'm sure the city solicitors as well, I think option 1 is the option that gives us probably the least fear of litigation coming out of it. So on the basis of that, and without getting into any further debate on it, I would like to propose option 1.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy. Do we have a seconder on it?
Sorry, Mayor, I'll second that. So will Alderman Ramsey. And if it's of any benefit to everyone here before we go any further with this, would the solicitor be able to give us his legal advice? Because I think it's extremely important that people actually know before they speak any more on this today. Thank you.
That's fine, Alderman Ramsey. I'm going to pass
Mayor,
it
can
to
I
the
just
city
say that there's
solicitor.
hands up there already?
I'll just pass on the city solicitor first. Thank you, Councillor Hargan.
Chair, that advice had previously been circulated to members, and obviously I wouldn't particularly want to take it much further in open business than that, but all members have received that advice by way of email already.
Sorry, Mayor, that's very, very difficult to hear the city solicitor at the minute.
Yeah, Chair, I'm not sure. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a bit better, yeah.
You hear me a bit better.
Sorry. That's not great. Still not great, Philip.
I'm sorry, John, I've got the microphone as close to my mouth as I possibly can. So
That's better now.
Yeah, just to, as I say, that advice, I believe, was emailed out to members by the director, either yesterday or today. So members should have it. Obviously, we're in open business at the minute, so I wouldn't particularly want to be presenting legal advice to elected members in open business. But I think it has been circulated to all members already. And obviously there would have been outworkings of that, which would have led to the option one being the favourable option.
Okay, apologies, Councillor Hargan.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, yeah, I want to put forward an alternative proposal, which is to continue the funding arrangement that we've had with our advice providers from 2017 to 2020, that we've now rolled on from 2020 until
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order. There's a proposal on the table that needs to be dealt with first.
You're 100% correct, Councillor Duffy.
And I'm speaking to that proposal, so I haven't put a proposal on into the chat box, so that's an interruption.
Go ahead, Councillor Hargan.
Thank you. As I said, I believe that there is a better proposal, which is to continue our funding arrangement that we have had from 2017 to now, that we've rolled over over the last year and a half. I think that the problem with the present arrangement is that there is a number of challenges to the stats and a number of other things that it's based on, that 5.1 is based on. So I think that the best course of action is to go with what we have had. And then because the council has found additional money, I think we should divide up that money equally among the three providers in the fairest possible way. We are determined to make sure that our advice providers are properly resourced, that people are secure in their jobs. And to be honest, look, everything from the actions of the minister right down to the actions of some parties in the council has done everything to the opposite of that. So we think that there's a better alternative. There are no legal obstacles to putting that forward. I've also spoken to our council legal advisor. So there are two proposals here, and that I believe that the rollover one is the one that we should go with, given the amount of frustration that there's been with the new proposal that is included in 5.1. So I would encourage members to reject this proposal that Sinn Féin and the DUP are putting forward, and to go with the alternative model. And I think that will suit our purposes better.
Thank you, Councillor Hargan. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for letting me in. This has been something we've been working on months in the working group, and it's something that we thought we'd come up with a solution, one that not everybody was happy with, but it was fair for all groups. The proposal option one gives the advice services the same amount of money that they had last year, but it also gives one of the groups the projected numbers for their figures improving, because in 2017 their figures, there was an issue with that, so it reflected on that. So that from the presentation I received, they are actually getting less funding than they should be for this year. It was extended for 3 months because we'd only had 9 months figures. That is now done. We now have the 12 months figures, and what this amount will do is it tops up so no one loses out, but every group has 100% from their 100% figures. I think it's the only fair way. The city solicitors told us that we will be open to appeals and scrutiny if we don't go, because we do have an agreement here that we have to go forward with, and it also gives security to the community groups. So that means, even though, as I say, I've said it I think 3 times now, if we're not happy with the figures, if we're not happy with the formula, we need to go back in from next week onwards and work on a new formula for next year, because the formula in which Councillor Harkin is going for 2017 to 2020 is the same formula for the one that we had the past 12 months. So either or, if one's wrong, the other one has to be wrong. So we need to work on a new formula for next year. But for now, we need to give the community, the advice services, their comfort and make sure that they have the funding for the next 9 months. So we'll be going for option 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Donna, you're on about the proposal put in the chat. It's on the papers there, so it is. Moving on, Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Mayor, and I too would like to wish you the very best for the year ahead. As everybody has said, the issue of advice services funding has been debated and discussed at length in the advice services panel and in various committees since February. We've been round the houses on this, and unfortunately there is not a unanimous approach.
Stephen, is it okay? Yeah.
Right, mic off, please. We've been round the houses, and unfortunately there isn't unanimous support for any of the proposals. We support option 1. It's not perfect, but we feel that it is the best way forward. It gives Advice Northwest, Dove House and Resource Centre and their staff and their clients funding certainty. It ensures that no provider gets a smaller allocation than last year. In terms of Councillor Harkin's proposal, we don't agree with it. It's not evidence-based, it's not in line with the commissioning agreement, and it presents a risk of a legal challenge for our council. So we will not be supporting that. We'll be supporting option 1 in the paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Obviously, I'm not going to take it to vote now. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me. And as some of the previous speakers have said, this issue has been round and round the House. We have looked at it at a number of meetings. I have to say, our party agrees with option 1, and I just want to explain the reason why. As I would have preferred maybe a fairer method, but at the end of the day, when we listen to the legal advice from our city solicitor, and it would leave us open to challenge. I think that's very, very important. And Mayor, we will be supporting option 1.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Members, I see no more. I'm just going to move straight to the vote here. So the vote's on option 1 on the Health and Communities Committee. So I'm going to pass it on to Stephen.
Thank you, Mayor. So just run through the list of names. So
just to clarify, Mayor, just to clarify before we're discussing, we're voting for or against option 1. It's not the proposal that has been made. Just to clarify, do we get it right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's lovely. Thanks.
Okay, sorry, Stephen.
Thank you. Alderman Alan Breslin.
Yes, for option 1.
Alderman Maurice Devaney.
Option 1 for.
Alderman Darren Guy.
After much deliberation, option 1.
Alderman Derek Hussey.
Option 1.
Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
Option 1.
Alderman Hilary McClintock.
For option 1.
Alderman David Ramsey.
For option 1.
Alderman Graham Wark.
For option 1.
Councillor Jason Barr.
For.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
For.
Councillor John Boyle.
For.
Councillor Michaela Boyle.
For Stephen.
Councillor Tina Burke. Councillor Sean Carr.
For.
Councillor Sean Cusack.
For.
Councillor Angela Dobbins.
For Stephen.
Councillor Gary Donnelly. Councillor Emmett Doyle. Councillor Sandra Duffy.
For.
Councillor Stephen Edwards. Councillor Rory Farrell.
For.
Councillor Rachel Ferguson.
For Stephen.
Councillor Paul Fleming.
For Stephen.
Councillor Paul Gallagher.
For.
Councillor Sean Harkin.
Abstain.
Councillor Conor Heaney.
For.
Councillor Christopher Jackson.
For.
Councillor Dan Kelly.
For.
Councillor Patricia Logue.
For Stephen.
Councillor Kieran Maguire.
For.
Councillor Rory McHugh.
For Stephen.
Councillor Jim McKeever.
Chair,
Councillor Philip.
my internet's playing up here. Can I abstain?
No problem. Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Philip McKinney.
For Stephen. For.
Councillor Aileen Mellon.
For Stephen.
Councillor Sean Mooney. Councillor Maeve O'Neill.
Abstain.
Councillor Martin Riley.
For.
Councillor Lillian Sinoni Barr.
For Stephen.
And Councillor Brian Tierney.
For Stephen.
Okay, members, that passes 32-4 and 3 abstentions. So, members, moving on matters arising on Health and Communities Committee, Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. It was just on HC 145/21 where there was a point in the minutes acknowledging frustrations regarding increased waiting lists. And again, I just wanted to bring up the waiting list issue of one of the most oppressed minority communities in the north here, and particularly in the northwest. And I'm talking about the trans community again. And I want to take another opportunity to put forward the proposal to write the Minister Robin Swan and the Department of Health about the lack of trans healthcare services that exist in this region, and to explore the possibility of setting up services in the northwest for trans people for basic healthcare such as blood tests and sessions with gender identity clinic staff. So I'll just put that in the chat box again.
All right, Councillor O'Neill, that is on another separate issue. If you would like to bring that motion for the next full council, we'd be happy enough to take that on then. That's okay.
I just don't understand the reasoning that it's a separate issue, Mayor, in terms of it's a waiting list issue, and every other proposal that's been proposed this evening has gone forward, and just this is the only one that's been blocked twice now.
2 minutes, I'll pass you on to the city solicitor here.
Yeah, I mean, Chair, as a matter of accuracy, I believe there are other motions that have been put forward onto other dates as well. I seem to remember one from Councillor Gallagher. But the item in 145/21 is in relation to Western Urgent Care, and this is on a separate issue, Chair. So if that's your ruling, Chair, that's fine.
Thank you, and Councillor O'Neill, I'll be happy enough to take that on the next full council. with motions? Okay, members, the monthly health and communities on matters arising. I do not see any more in the chat box here. So members just discussed that earlier after the last break.
Mayor, sorry, I had a thing in, but I had sent it to you privately. Oh, it's Alderman Kerrigan. Sent it to you privately on the chat. It was just a matters arising in health and communities. But I can whatever suits you, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor Kerrigan or Alderman Kerrigan.
You're all right, Mayor. I tell you, I had a proposal and have it typed in the box, but maybe you can deem if it's appropriate or not. I was trying to go under HC 145, the same one as Councillor O'Neill, because it was in regards to the health service, and so. Mayor, apologies there. It hasn't came through. How long? I'll read it out to you. It was there and I've lost it. Sorry, Mayor.
Could you read that out there, Councillor Kerrigan?
Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it out to you now, Mayor. Thank you. It was that this council notes the increase in the use of CPR and AEDs due to the incident involving Christian Eriksen on the 12th of June 2021 in the Denmark versus Finland football match. That this council works with all other relevant agencies and a paper be brought back to the Health and Communities Committee regarding the registering of all AEDs with the Northern Ireland Ambulance Service, that we encourage and seek to support the maintenance of these AEDs and seek to support training courses in CPR and the use of AEDs, which is the automated external defibrillators. So that's what my proposal was. I was trying to bring that in. Unfortunately, I had it typed into the box, but I signed out and signed in again, and I lost it in the chat. So I know it's quite a long proposal. I don't know if you deem it appropriate or if you want it brought till the next meeting, Mayor. I'm in your hands.
Sorry, Alderman Kerrigan. See, for the same reason, well, there's two options here. More or less, if you approach the director and bring the papers under the next committee, or bring it forward as a motion to the next full council.
No, that's grand, Chair. It's just I know the incident that happened the Saturday, as far as I saw, before the 2 weeks or after the 2 weeks had expired, to bring it in as a motion. So that's why I sort of brought it in through that. But as I say, I'm content, Mayor, to bring it in whatever way you see fit. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred Alderman Kerrigan. On matters arising, Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in, and I want to come in an item HC 152 stroke 21, and it was in relation to portaloos, the issue about delivering them to groups, the way free of charge that council have always done. Mayor, I made a proposal in that there, which is not included in the minutes, that we continue the delivery of portaloos to those groups who this council, or who the groups that asked the council for the portaloos, and it hasn't been down here. And I do believe, in my opinion, that that wasn't up for discussion. The other issue was up for discussion was in around the closure of some toilets in different areas. And I suppose, Mayor, when I'm looking at the situation, I do think it would be very prudent that, and maybe this is one Stephen can look at, is maybe if there are any savings within that there is a small budget, maybe of £10,000 set aside for these portaloos. And look, if it's not used, it's not used. And look, if it's not enough, we can maybe look for more. Maybe, Stephen, you could come back with a report on that.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Karen McFarland on that one, Alderman Devaney.
No, Karen was on the line there. I didn't see her name up.
Mayor, members,
Yes, there was a proposal that would extend the portable provision through until the end of this financial year. And I do recollect from discussion at the meeting, there was a view that that shouldn't be time bound. We've agreed to meet on a DEA basis with regard to the toilet closures. Happy to pick up on this particular point, members, and reconsider and bring that back as part of a part of an overall report on toilet provision. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Karen. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Morris, for that. There are two different issues here. There's the issue of those groups who receive grants, who receive financial assistance, that they would include within their application a cost to cover the provision of portaloos. What we're looking at here is those groups who do not, who finance themselves, but at the same time, we as a council should be seen to be supporting their activities and indeed, their issues with regard to health and safety on the events they're organising. So, the issue of the provision of portaloos for their events needs to be looked at and indeed reviewed, as I think was the original suggestion coming through next April, once we see how the summer goes. Mind you, the summer itself will not be atypical, but we'll take it going forward as we see how it develops. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Alderman Devaney, you've already spoken. Is this a different matter?
Back up Alderman Hussey comments, Mr. Mayor. And at the previous meeting, it was raised by myself. There are groups out there who get small grants, £1,000, £500, and they have no capacity in that there for portaloos. So I just want to make that on the record, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Members, I do not see any other matters arising on ENR, and as discussed in the last interval, what we're going to do now, I'm going to pass on to Paul Jackson. He is going to take us off live. For anybody watching live at the minute, what's happening here now, we're going on to confidential, and once we're finished confidential business, we'll be coming back to start notice of motions.